Michelo is already defeated, finished, and in total panic. And that's because after the electoral defeat of Chavismo in Honduras, the guy is claiming there was fraud. And to top it off, he's asking them to show the records.
What I feared the most happened in Honduras. We have to go defend the records. The final count is...
It's funny because Michelo didn't say that when Nicolas Maduro stole Venezuela's elections and hid the records. Do you remember?
Hondurans may wait up to 30 days to learn their next president. Lately, the left keeps saying that the right is a danger to democracy in every country in the world. However, when they are in power, they are the real danger to democracy. They go on and on about the so-called sacred word democracy, but when they lose, they suspend announcing the results, the system crashes, there's electoral chaos, they go to sleep and wake up with completely different results. You have to wait up to 30 days because that's their version of democracy. And then you have people like this guy here, the famous Michelo, defender of Nicolas Maduro. Let's see what he has to say.
Donald Trump put up a candidate and that candidate is winning. Ask yourselves, why does Washington make a candidate from a party win with just a tweet? Friends, what's happening in Honduras is very strange because the National Electoral Council announced results where Libre gets about 100,000 votes with approximately 30%. They say it's been counted. But Rick Simoncada, in the primaries of his own Libre party, got more than 500,000 votes. I mean, in the party primary, 500,000 votes, which are hardcore voters, and in general elections, that number is usually far surpassed.
Let them show the records, right? Michelo, just like Nicolas Maduro, whom he strongly supports, questions much in Honduras since the far right is set to win. But you don't question what happened in Venezuela, for example. There, the results for Edmundo Gonzalez were completely different from the results Nicolas Maduro showed. And those were the real ones. I've always said the left accuses others of what they do themselves.
Yes, gentlemen, results and records. This is what this influencer demands, whom Chavismo hired for two things. First, to promote Chavismo, which can no longer be done. They're already labeled worldwide, as we all know. And secondly, to steamroll all these people who make little videos for Chavismo. Because no, you don't create content. You make little videos to promote and try to whitewash a regime that has only been labeled as the criminal group that they are, and you support them. Yes, this double standard and hypocrisy that Michel has is incredible when he simply dedicates himself to promoting this regime. No, Michel, we already know who you are. You don't know anything about politics. You don't know anything about ideological concepts. You simply defend what you're paid to. It's as simple as that. We all know you get paid, and we also know you have your enemies within Chavismo itself. Ladies and gentlemen, this will end eventually.
But anyway, it turns out that while Michel was at the airport in Honduras, he ran into soldiers from the United States Army, and this was his reaction.
Oh, they're from the American Army. They're really here. They knew the Honduran airport is actually a large United States military base. How crazy, huh? The Marines are here. There's a lot of North American influence here. The North American embassy in Honduras is like a shopping mall, literally.
First, I've had the opportunity to visit several United States embassies around the world, and they're usually pretty big, pretty impressive. It almost doesn't matter which country it is. Second, and that's important, Michelo saw the United States Marines in Honduras and panicked so much his voice changed. Where is the American Army? There's a lot of American influence here, Michelo said. Don't panic, no one will come help you.
Why didn't I go up to the Marines and shout the truth at them? For Venezuela? The answer is easy, my friend. I was on an American base alone against the United States Army on the biggest base in Central America. That's not brave, just foolish.
Michelo, but you yourself said you would give your life to fight and combat the Yankee Empire. What happened?
And the other thing, I took a flight there in Honduras and there were people from the United States Agency for International Development celebrating what happened in Honduras. They were dying of laughter about how they manipulated the results and everything. They also discussed Venezuela since they're interested, and I just listened quietly for information. Imagine I don't understand much English, but what I understood is that they're not going to invade Venezuela. Instead, they're waiting for a military officer to rebel. That's why they deployed all the destroyers and the army to the Caribbean. They're waiting for someone to rebel, a general from the army. And on top of that, they were saying that when this happens, the general, boom, so he ends up as a martyr.
It's incredible the level of lies this guy spreads. Did you hear him? Simply ridiculous. What Michelo does is just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And well, I was never that close. I literally was never on a United States base because Honduras is a United States base. It's not that it just has a United States base. I went to see the American embassy in Honduras. It looks like a shopping mall. Journalists go in and out, picking up envelopes to, fill Hondurans' minds with garbage. That's when I understood why there's so much poison, why there's so much hatred toward anything that's not in the interest of the American empire, right? I feel really sorry for the people of Honduras because they really have it tough, but I know they're brave, they're warriors. They're going to be able to break free from this domination they have. Literal, military, political, economic, communicational, cultural. But well, my friend, that's my answer. Hearing what I did helped me more than yelling at soldiers who wouldn't listen.
What I heard, you didn't hear anything, Michelo. This guy is ridiculous, Michelo.
Michelo asking for the election records in Honduras?
To defend the votes, to wait for the final count of the records. Preliminary, regularity, don't let them show you the valid legal results. Mistakes can happen. Remember that Milei exaggerated his percentage in Argentina.
But he doesn't mention Venezuela.
The final count reveals the truth. That's why we have to wait to defend the votes, to wait for the final count of the records. Rixi Moncada is leading with 36%, and behind is Nasrallah with 31%, and Trump's candidate is in third place.
And 3 Doritos later.
My biggest fear came true in Honduras.
Look, Michelo, I'm going to tell you something, okay? You already had the false idea that they were going to do the same thing they did in Venezuela. And you claimed victory, you and your team from Rixi Moncada, Maduro sent you, thinking that maybe with your supposed support they were going to make Rixi win. Maduro is one of the people that most of the Spanish speakers from over there, from that area, already want to get rid of him no matter what. The ruling family and Rixi Moncada are part of the problem. People are tired and can't stand the violence and poverty anymore. They're the only ones who enjoy everything, while the people are left in distress. Hungry all the time, facing injustice. 12, 13 factories left the country because of them, and even so, they still wanted the people's support. People don't have jobs, people don't have a way to support themselves, even if it wasn't the majority, because some they get remittances from people in the United States and Spain. That's more or less how things are right now. They're just getting by with the situation while others are suffering. They really struggle a lot to put a plate of food on the table. And well, you thought that by getting the results early, it was going to be the same as in Honduras. But this time they ended up losing, just like in Venezuela, but they ended up losing. Because right now you're experiencing firsthand what an electoral fraud is, supposedly, even though it's not really a fraud. This is the people's passion. This is what people feel, and they show it at the polling stations.
That's right. Nicolas Maduro attempted in Honduras what he did in Venezuela but failed. And that's why they're crying, because they've lost one of their last partners, one of their last greatest allies. But, well, we'll see how this story ends. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much and see you next time.